your Chargers linebacker, Dan Henley, and you're tuning in with Chargers Unleashed.
Welcome to another edition of Chargers Unleashed. Jake Hefner and Dan Wolkenstein here with you from the LAFB Network. If this is your first time tuning into the show, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Dan Wolkenstein, good morning to you. Good morning to everyone. Thank you so much for getting up early on your Sunday morning. Hope you all had a very nice and relaxing 4th of July weekend. Dan Wolkenstein, it's officially July, which means there is Chargers football to be played this month. We finally made it. Training camp starts here in 2 weeks. We're going to talk about it, but the majority of the topic today that we are going to discuss, Dan and I were talking about this for a couple of weeks. We knew we had to make this one a live show because this required a lot of viewer interaction. And we thought that this one would be fun. These are things that I know topics have been thrown around on different podcasts before, but Dan and I wanted to come up with creative, fun subject matter for this particular podcast in general. As we get closer to training camp, let's have some fun and let's compare. If every single Chargers position group was named after a movie, what movie would they be? So we're, of course, going to get your guys' thoughts on all this. Dan and I are going to go through this list, in between which we're obviously going to break off, answer your questions in the chat as it relates to training camp. Whichever you have, obviously get them in the chat box now. We will do our best on the show today to get them all answered. Dan Wolkenstein, good morning. What time did you wake up this morning from little Jameson? How much sleep have you gotten in the last 2 weeks or so?
Oh, boy. Welcome to Chargers Unleashed live. I've got coffee today because, damn it, I'm needing it this morning. I'm dragging. I would say I've been up since the last time I woke up was around 6:15, 6:30. But there were times I woke up before that. But it's all worth it. Kids are great. Wife is great. And, yeah, man, it's a whirlwind. But we're here. We're here. And you mentioned it. Chargers football is this month, which is absolutely bananas. Folks in the chat, you know the drill. If you have any topics, thoughts, questions, bring them to the comment feed, and we'll do our best to kind of sprinkle them in as we go through our movie titles that align to this position groups for this Chargers team. If you know the drill, if you don't know the drill, excuse me, 323-902-7586 is the number to the hotline. Leave a voicemail. Feel free to chime in there with some questions as well. Jake, importantly, how was your 4th and how are you this morning?
It's relaxing, my friend. Didn't really do much. Needed the long weekend. So gearing up for training camp to start here on July 17th, getting ready. It's this close. You know how I feel about this time of the year when it really is the bulk of the sports droll, when baseball is really the only thing that you can get on there and watch unless you're an F1 or a tennis fan. By all means, go for it. Not going to lie, F1, if you haven't seen it yet, go see it. I've started watching it now more because I learned a lot from that movie just in terms of the intricacies and details of what goes into actually make it. It's phenomenal. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. Dan, people really need us to start at 8 a.m.
I know. This is my fault.
But it's not Dan's fault. It's not my fault. But we appreciate you guys tuning in nonetheless, because this damn sure isn't punctual Unleashed. It's Chargers Unleashed. So if we are a little bit late, we do apologize for that. But Dan, I'm excited to get into this.
Literally 1 minute late.
You know, sticking with the appropriate movie theme for today. Shout out to Horrible Bosses, Jason Bateman, Kevin Spacey in their scene where it's like, I might have been a minute late. Well, when in reality, you were actually 2 minutes late.
Look, guys, we not all heroes wear capes. I got my coffee by 8:01, and that's a win for me. We're going to be leaning heavily into Jake this episode because Jake, for those who don't know, Jake is a movie buff, and he's got lines for days of. I'll be randomly talking to him. Sidebar. I'll be randomly talking to Jake, and I'll be just talking about like something really deep, really important, And then Jake's like, "Oh yeah, just like in that in that movie from 1947 named Jargon Ball." I'm like, "What? Yes, that's factually true, but impressive." So I'm looking forward to this one. This is gonna be fun.
I like how you really harkened back to nearly 40 years before I was born with that one. 1947.
You would know. You would know it. You would know it,
man. Film class, it was the monster movies in the 1930s. Okay, that's what we specifically centralized around at that point in time. Then you jumped into the 70s and the great 80s, which will be referenced today.
Yep.
And many, many more. All
right. So folks in the chat, let's go to this for a second. What are folks drinking this morning? Athir is here, Jake. $5 donation. Athir, thank you so much. Again, what are you guys drinking in the chat? Let us know. Good morning, Chargers fans. I am drinking strawberry milk and cigar. I'm bringing the heat and fire to Dan and Jake with my bold season prediction. Strawberry milk and cigar. That's the first I've heard of that one. Have you ever had strawberry milk?
I've had strawberry milk. It's great. I would never think to pair that with a cigar. But to each their own, and that's what makes this place great.
At 8:10 a.m.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh man. Jake, we've had a few voicemails, which we'll get to here later on in the show. I believe Jake has one as well. Excuse me, Jake. I believe Athir has one in here.
I haven't left one.
You should have. That'd been funny. So Jake, how you want to do this? I think we could probably start offense. I feel like this would be a good one for this Chargers fan base. You know, the firepower for Justin Herbert has, I think, ratcheted up quite a bit, if you will. And I think looking at it on paper, it's kind of, I mean, it's impressive to see like what this team looks like now for Justin Herbert. So dare we say quarterbacks? Movie title.
Yeah.
Jake, what are you thinking about Yerba Mate from Stephen Zhao? Saratoga water? I don't even know what Saratoga water is. Is that like sparkling water? I don't know. Skylar says, watching from Lafayette, Indiana. Go Bolts. Getting all kinds of shit from fans telling us that we're late. Cool. Thanks so much. Steven, looks like Dan and Jake are still sleeping. Awesome.
We do not get any slack. We there is no quarter as it relates to being late on this show. So we have to do a better job of starting it on time.
That's okay. That's okay. In the chat, Kyle says RoboCop for quarterbacks. Jake, I don't know if you want to spread this out across, but Justin Herbert, obviously. Got some Trey Lance, Taylor Heineke, DJ, I can't pronounce his last name, save my life. What is the quarterback movie title of choice?
So as it relates to quarterback, I actually came up with two, and I'm going to centralize it around Justin Herbert. So take weapons out of it. Just take, up to this point, his career since he joined the league. What is he now? What would the name of his movie be? And surface level, I kind of came up with, and I'll try to relate these as best as I can outside of just the title itself. But Justin Herbert, as of right now, is the pursuit of happiness. He's the pursuit of happiness.
Oh, look, this
because
guy.
He's gunning to get that first playoff win. All the stuff that he gets in the media as far as not being able to get over the hump, and even though all that potential as far as him being one of the best quarterbacks in the league is there, it just needs to get that much better. Just needs to get over that little hump. And so it's the pursuit of happiness as it relates to Justin Herbert. I also had The Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio as far as a, more of a knockdown, drag out, kind of a revenge type of a movie, to a comeback after basically being left for dead. As Leonardo DiCaprio was in that movie. So yeah, those were the two that I came up with. And again, for each position group, I want to try to stick it, keep everything related to that position group specifically, and try to come up with the best names that I could as it related to the films that they're going to be named after. But those are the two that I came up with. Chat, what do you guys have? Someone put the Towering Inferno. Whoa. Whoa.
I have not seen that, so I have no idea the reference there.
1970s, Dan.
Oh, okay.
That was back when the disaster movies like Earthquake, Towering Inferno, the Poseidon Adventure were like those were the big things. You know, this is before Star Wars, so film during that point in time was like, sorry to say, very bleak as far as just the premise of the movies themselves.
For me, it's okay. This is going to show how bad I am with movies. Which, like, I'm not terrible, but when I think of like movies prior to 1970s, I'm like, all right, Sound of Music, Casablanca, like, bunch of Disney movies. I can rip off Disney movies easy, but it's gonna take me a bit. I took film class actually in community college. That was fun. I slept through almost every single one of the international ones. I'm not gonna lie. Like, as soon as I had to read the subtitles, I'm like in college, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. There's no way.
Oh my god, bro.
There's no way.
I take it though. I assume that you passed. Okay, good.
I passed.
Yeah,
I passed.
Fantastic.
So the one that I was thinking, and going into this season, was kind of like 300-esque. You think about him being Justin Herbert outmanned, right? Like, he's going up against all these other teams that have all this firepower that he has not had, right? You talk about all of the players that Justin Herbert was toting along with him. You know, think of like the Michael Bandys and the Semi Fajokos and the, you know, other than Ladd McConkey last season, it was kind of like, who? And you think about the tight end position, offensive line kind of getting destroyed. And even though you have Rashawn Slater, you have Joe Alt, there's always something happening. You know, he's getting hurt, he's getting blasted, but it seems like this David versus Goliath thing where he's having to overcome all of this stuff. And will this be the year? Will this be the year where this is Sparta happens, where he kicks them into the hole? Like, I hope. And he finally has some beef behind him. You know, will it be enough? I don't know. But 300 was kind of my thought process. I don't know. Bitcoin asks, should Jake Slaughter be the Charger center of the future next year?
Man, if Jake Slaughter came out for the draft this year, I was extremely high on Jake Slaughter. Dan knows this. I talked about him leading up to the draft process ad nauseum. He was one of the most consistent centers in college football last year. So again, the center class as it relates to the draft got very small in terms of the draftable prospects, because whether or not it was injury or guys going back to college for another year. But Jake Slaughter should definitely be considered in that short list of the top centers to be taken in 2026. So, hey, depending on how this year goes with Zion Johnson, we'll see. Time will tell on that. But I would love Jake Slaughter as a potential pick for the Chargers next year for sure.
Matt Waters says, The Quiet Man with John Wayne, ... Yes, I'm old. That's okay.
I get the reference there. That's
I know.
just how Justin goes about his business. So taking it in the literal sense, but still a badass.
John Wayne plays
John
a
Wayne.
low-key badass. Absolutely. Athir with another donation. Again, money talks in this episode, apparently. $10 donation from Athir. Offense prediction is Trey Harris will be rookie offensive player of the year with 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns, and will lead Herbie to winning the MVP with almost 4,800 total yards, 48 total touchdowns, top 5 offense, 14-3. There's a lot to unpack there.
So for those of you keeping track, there are a lot of predictions that Athir has made that are relating to this upcoming season, because we heard about it last year in terms of him talking about what 2026 was going to be, what the record for the Chargers was going to be. I believe he even said that they were going to be Super Bowl bound this year. He was pounding the table for it. His confidence in the Chargers right now is at an all-time high. Offensive Rookie of the Year for Trey Harris, that's definitely a bold prediction. Also considering that the rookie taken in the first round for the Chargers is going to be coming for that title as well in Omarion Hampton. You still have a ridiculous amount of offensive rookies that I could think that would be in that category in terms for offensive rookie of the year. You have to go up against one in your own division and Ashton Genty. You could put Tyler Warren in that conversation as well, Colson Loveland in that conversation as well in terms of pass catching options. That's going to be tough. I love the optimism. And speaking as a Trey Harris advocate myself, I love this prediction, and I hope it comes true.
So, love Athir to death. And again, Athir, thank you. Appreciate you, my baby. All good. But even taking out all of the outside stuff that you mentioned, Jake, that's saying that he's going to overcome Ladd McConkey on his own team. So you're saying Ladd McConkey is going to have so how many yards is Ladd McConkey to have if Trey Harris is having 1,300 or 15 touchdowns? Unless, again, he said 4,800 total yards. Maybe he's going 1,300 yards for Trey Harris, 1,800 yards for Ladd McConkey. I don't know, 500 for Mike, 25 for Quentin. Like, I have no idea what he's thinking, but that's a little tough. Blood sausage. I don't even know.
Yes, Dan, they're a type of sausage.
I'm a little delirious now. We got the steal of the draft in Trey Harris. I'm surprised he was there when they got him. I'll put it that way.
Again, if he did not get injured during his season in Ole Miss, remember, before he went down with his injury, he was leading all college receivers in a number of different categories in receiving, excuse me. It's almost a godsend that he did miss time during the year, because to Dan's point, if he didn't and he continued on with the season that he was on pace for, he should have been gone long before the Chargers ended up being on the clock there. So, hey, we'll see what happens. But Trey Harris, I'm all for it.
Be fun. Looking forward to him at training camp for sure. Jake, let's get to the wide receiver group. And then after that, we'll start a voicemail. All right. We'll start the voicemail. So, Jake, we got a lot of receivers in this room, and there are a lot of receivers looking for a job right now and trying to keep it, to be honest. I have some of them here on the screen: Mike Williams, Trey Harris, Ladd McConkey, QJ, Keandre Lambert-Smith, Darius Davis, Brendan Rice is there, Jalen Reagor's there. You've got some of the UDFAs that are also there. Like, there's a lot of guys trying to get spots. In my eyes right now, this is the starting six, or this is the top six. But, Jake, what say you for a wide receiver?
This might be a little bit of recency bias and maybe even a little bit on the nose, but Dan, I went with Thunderbolts. You got a combination of vets, young upstarts, unprovens that are coming in to ask to be tasked to elevate this offense, become the new group for Justin Herbert in order to lead them to the next level of offense, to take him to the next level. And this is a very diverse group that you have here in terms of their traits and abilities. So, yeah, I went with Thunderbolts for this one for sure.
So, I'll be fully transparent. I thought about doing research for this episode.
You thought about it?
I thought about it. But then two things. One, having a 2-week-old kind of dampens that. And two, it's kind of fun just doing it on the spot, because it gives you an opportunity to have like first impressions and just like the first thought that comes to my mind. And Little Giants is what came to mind for me.
Okay.
And you think about like what this and again, maybe this is a little bit also like recency bias, but just looking at years past where, this team shows up to the camp, they got bubble wrap. Like, the guys are kind of tiny. They look up to the players across from them, and it's just no match, right? At the beginning anyways. And they're just getting tossed around, and there's just nothing for this Little Giants team to be able to do. Like, there's no guy in their back pocket just like coming out to start swinging. But Little Giants, the icebox. But see, this is what I'm saying. Jake has all of it. So then you move forward, right? Little Giants start figuring out what the hell they're doing. Could they start winning? Could they start improving? going to start picking up those 2-pound dumbbells? I'm not sure. Maybe. But the Little Giants, kind of had for this one. We'll see if they can have that story arc. I hope. Kyle Tucker says Top Gun. Wow, tail two halves. Kyle Tucker says Top Gun, and Forgotten Locale says Forrest Gump.
Do the one in between there as well, because that's the one that actually really got me.
We got the cast
of Police Academy in here. I love it.
Of those three, Jake, Police Academy, Forrest Gump, and Top Gun, which one do you think?
I'd probably have to lead with the Police Academy, honestly. And it's not a detriment in terms of the skill set, but that one's pretty good.
Oh, that is great.
Again, Chad, as we go through these, we want to hear your guys' takes on if these position groups, as it relates to the Chargers, were movies, what would they be? Let's hear it.
Live show, Jake. You got a voicemail from Iowa that we'll be talking over here in a second here. Go ahead and leave your voicemail and we'll listen to it. Jake, first voicemail. Let's see what they have to say. Again, no particular order. We have not heard any of these. Neither of us have. See what they got to say. First one.
Dan, Jake, this is Etienne, your boys that loves you. Jake, this is for you, my brother.
Here we go.
The schedule being tough, it's nonsense talk. It's overreaction. We have seen all these teams in the AFC. The year before they made it to playoff, what happened after that? Let's talk about the Chargers. They made it to the playoff. They lost to the Jaguars. What happened the year after that? That's a perfect example. All the teams on the schedule at home, aside from the Broncos, the Eagles, and the Vikings, they all fraud. You know that. I know that. You just don't want to admit it, my baby.
They're all frauds?
Yes, according to a theory.
I know that, and you know that?
I don't know that. I don't know that, nor do I believe that.
I still love you. 13-4.
13-4. Okay.
Okay, so I think I cut you off, Jake. What were you saying?
No, it's okay. Was there more to his message?
Yep.
Super Bowl destination San Francisco. Let's go. What you got to say to me? I'm bringing the fire early. Love you.
He's bringing the fire and the cigar smoke with the strawberry milk.
So as we were saying, Athir once again is doubling down on his Super Bowl prediction for this year. As you guys heard, 13-4. Very confident in the Jim Harbaugh year 2 led Chargers. And look, we could go on a whole soapbox as it relates to how much difference a great coaching staff and a great front office means to this team, because it definitely changed my optimism from one regime to the last. But at the same time, still kind of got to be real about it. I know a whole lot of like hubbub since the schedule releases come out. Just it either like absolutely flames the people who make their predictions about it, or it just totally torpedoes their credit in terms of what they see. But look, the AFC West in general, we need to understand this. And this is not, you have to remember this. This is not a negative perspective as it relates to the Chargers. But the AFC West in general, whether we're talking about coaching, roster personnel, free agency draft, whatever it is, collectively got better. If we remember watching those 3 days of the draft, and whether the Chiefs were on the clock, the Chargers were on the clock, the Broncos were on the clock, the Raiders were on the clock, each one of their selections, probably through like about the first 5 rounds, you were like, damn it. I don't want to have to go up against that guy in my division. You thought it was only through the first round? Hell no. Kansas City got a number of players that Dan and I were extremely high on throughout the draft process. Denver ended up picking up one of my favorite running backs in this class, in RJ Harvey. We all know about Ashton Genty going to the Raiders. The AFC West is going to be extremely competitive this year. And that's just within the division.
Yeah.
You look at the rest of the games the Chargers have on this schedule, other teams got better too. So we can't just assume, even though that the Chargers roster today, yes, no question about it, is going to be better in 2025 as it relates to the personnel, the coaching, and under Jim Harbaugh, and I'm more specifically, I believe under Greg Roman, in terms of the running game, is going to be better executed. But at the same time, this is football, guys. this is competition at its finest. We can't just assume that the Chargers are going to come in and bull rush everyone. So yes, we haven't seen this team play, this version of the team, a single snap yet. So if we happen to have records like Dan and myself have at 11-6, 10-7,
yeah,
it's not a detriment to the Chargers.
No,
It's more of a collective perspective of where those games are played, who those teams are, and that's all it is.
most likely, if the Chargers go 10-7, that means that they are beating the teams that they're supposed to beat, and then going plus 500 against playoff teams. When is the last time they did that? And we're still having 10-7. That's not a bad thing. Like, that feels pretty good to me. Feels pretty bullish. Kyle Tucker says, no, the faders are fool's gold. I mean, they might be. They might be. But if you add Pete Carroll, who's a damn good coach, you add good players, that makes the team. Their team's definitely not worse. I'll tell you that much. So, we'll see. Jake, running backs.
Yes.
Running backs. So, we got a lot of oomph in this running back room this year. Amari Hampton, Najee Harris. Then the guys underneath that, it's going to be a bloodbath. Kamani Vidal, Rocket Sanders, Hassan Haskins, name a few. What is your movie of choice for this group?
Yeah, Dan, I went with the A-team for this one. The A-team because this is plan alpha for Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman in terms of what's going to set the pace for them. The difference is, but I mean, they had the same plan last year. It was just executed horribly, whether it was due to injuries, poor offensive line play, defense keying in on it or not caring about it and not having to worry, and they were able to blitz Justin Herbert and put you in third and long situations. This is plan alpha. This is the A-team, comprised of Omari and Hampton, Najee Harris, Rocket Sanders, and presumably whoever is going to win out the final running back spot between Kamani Vidal and Hassan Haskins. This is the A-team, plan alpha. This is going to set the tone for Justin Herbert and this offense moving forward.
That's a good one. That's a good one. A couple comments here. Coach Harbaugh is not losing 6 games this season. Coach Harbaugh lost 6 games last season.
Made the playoffs. Look, if there is one thing that Dan and I are happy to be wrong on,
yes,
it's stuff like this. Like, I would love to agree with a Thier on a 13-4 record, or anybody who would like to come up and say a 12-5 record. I hope you're right. Honestly, I do. I'm not here to put down anybody else's bold predictions in terms of the success of this team because I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Just saying. Like, the Chargers, unfortunately, don't play in the Patriots division that the Patriots got gifted for 20 years and playing with incompetent teams in that point in time. They're not like that. They don't play. They don't play in the Houston Texans, Tennessee Titans, Jacksonville Jaguars division. They just don't. Like, imagine, would he be saying the exact same thing if they played in the AFC North? Hell no. It's pretty damn. I mean, the AFC North and the AFC West are just, they're juggernauts right now as it relates to the teams in their divisions. So they play in the 2 toughest divisions in just the AFC conference alone. That's all it is. If you want to say, you know, the Chargers are going to go undefeated this year, by all means, go for it. By all means. I love the optimism. Truly, I do.
Fast and Furious for the running back room. It's a good one. It's a good one. Throwback a little bit here, Jake. Never Back Down.
Ah.
For folks who have not seen that movie, by the way, one of my favorite movies. Shout out 2008. Shout out 2008.
Is it sad that we have to say that 2008 is officially a throwback?
There are literally people probably in this chat who were born in 2008 or after 2008. Good Lord. Never Back Down. Highly recommend. But underground fight club scene in high school, and kid shows up, and there's just bullies. There are just bullies all over the place. And this guy's getting his butt kicked. and then afterwards just starts going full throttle, imposing will, right? And I think about this Chargers running back room and kind of what the mentality is, with the Greg Roman, with the Najee Harris and Omar and Hampton style, right? With that right side of the line with Joe Alt and with Mekhi Becton. And hell, Zion Johnson, Rashawn Slater on the other side from a running game perspective. Like, that's bully ball. And that's imposing will. And that's never backing down. And that's like, I'm going to do what I want to do regardless.
I appreciate that you didn't say that the fact that the main character in that movie who was getting his ass kicked was Jake. Very much appreciated, Dan. Yeah. But it's an enjoyable movie nonetheless.
I love that movie. That's taking me down memory lane. You want to feel sad. People have started making parodies of 1985 by Bowling for Soup because the gap between 05 and now is the same.
And there's a lot of things that are getting remade these days, more specifically with Disney, and especially this recent news about them talking about rebooting the Indiana Jones franchise. Like, man, there's just some things you don't touch.
Leave it alone.
There's just some things that you don't touch. Now, I will say this. The new Naked Gun movie coming out with Liam Neeson, which is more of a legacy sequel, more so than a remake. I am all for something like that. I'm all for Spaceballs 2 that's coming out. People have been waiting years for that to come to fruition. But look, there's certain things that remakes work for.
Happy Gilmore 2. What do you think about that? They better not F this up, man.
It's you know what it is? It's the fact that it's getting released on Netflix. From what I've seen in the previews, like, there's certain aspects of it that look good, and then there's certain aspects of it that have me in question for it. I don't know. But yeah, there's just certain things that you just shouldn't touch as it relates to remakes. I'm all about that. But again, I like certain remakes. There are remakes out there that 100% surpass the original.
Yeah,
but there's just certain things that you shouldn't touch.
Yeah, remakes, or are you saying remakes, or are you saying like sequels?
I'm saying remakes.
Okay.
If you can come out, there are sequels that have come out and surpassed the original without any question. I'm not against any of those movies, but when you come out like in bulk and now starting to like try to remake or reboot everything, like kind of like what Disney's doing right now, it's kind of weird. Like, you guys had original ideas for seemingly 100 years.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. And now you're talking about restarting one of the most iconic heroes in film. I just don't know about it. It hasn't got it with me yet.
Next voicemail on the Chargers Unleashed hotline. Let's hear what they have to say.
Hey, Dan. Hey, Jake. I just got a question for you guys. I'm going to keep it simple today. In regards to the new uniforms, what do you guys think? And what's your official? I want an official prediction on the next show if you guys can make this happen. My personal belief, if we have an alternate that we haven't seen yet that's brand new, I would like to see an all-gray uniform with white helmets, yellow face masks, but the numbers have to be powder blue and the outlining of...
Wait, real quick. All gray. What number? What color were the numbers?
He said powder blue, which almost sounds like Detroit's off-brand
yellow mask.
Uniform. Not the yellow mask, but just the gray and the blue numbers sounds a lot like Detroit to me.
The numbers has to be yellow. The same goes for the bolts on the jerseys and the pants. What do you guys think? Hey,
Wait,
Dan.
yellow,
hey,
wait,
Jake.
hold on,
I
one more
just got
time.
a
Hold
question
on.
for you guys. I'm going to keep it simple today. In regards to the new uniforms, what do you guys think? And what's your official? I want an official prediction on the next show if you guys can make this happen. My personal belief, if we have
Let's
an
go slow.
alternate
Ready?
that we haven't seen yet that's brand new, I would like to see an all-gray uniform.
Okay, gray uniform.
White helmets, yellow
White helmets.
face masks.
Yellow face mask.
But the numbers have to be powder blue.
Powder blue numbers. Okay.
And the outlining of the numbers has to be yellow.
Okay, so yellow makes it different than the Lions.
It's still too close to Detroit for me.
The same goes for the bolts on the jerseys and the pants. What do you guys?
So powder blue, yellow.
Powder blue. Okay. I mean, that separates it from Detroit for sure, if you're just talking about outside the numbers. I
don't hate it. I don't
hate it either. I love the creative ideas that people have come up with for the alternates. If it's me, though, I don't think it's going to be yellow. I'll just say that right now. And I'm thinking about, what was that? This was a game from years ago, Dan, and I can't remember exactly who it was, but it was a Thursday night football game, and this is when they had those games designated for those teams that had the alternates. And one team was fully yellow and the other team was red. I think the red may have been the Bills, but everybody was saying it looked like ketchup and mustard out there. It looked just really bizarre. So I don't think they're going to go full yellow on there. I know there's a lot of, places that have put out the full yellow uniforms. God, if it's me, Dan, I think they're going to harken back to doing something cool with the dark navy.
I could almost guarantee. I don't want to say guarantee, but there's gotta be navy somewhere, because I could see them. Again, this is just me shooting in the clouds here. They haven't won in their alternate navies, period. And so I can see them. I could see the video now, right? Like, of them harken back to the good old days when they were winning in the navies, and retread that and make it look more like the old ones. Give it a new flair if you want, right? I could just see, and I think someone else put it here. It would be it would be easy. It'd be safe, but also perfect. I think they've got to do it. But the other part that I think I keep going back to is, you saw it from the moment Jim Harbaugh was hired. We are the storm, right? Whatever the jersey is, guaranteed there's going to be references to a storm in the release. So if it's all white, you can think of white lightning, right? Go dark, you can think of like storm, dark night, you go to like the black, which I don't know if they'll do black. Black would be sick in my opinion. But I would be shocked if there isn't a storm tied to this jersey release. The navy blue, I kind of like the white lightning. That kind of seems like it would play. Imagine like a white with powder blue, kind of look a little, or white with gold would look a little sick. Like kind of Hercules-ish.
Here's the big change that I'm hoping that they make, Dan. And this is outside of color. This may be considered minor to some people. I hope you go back to the old jersey font numbers that you had in San Diego.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I hope on this jersey that they harken back to.
Yeah. We got Raiders fans in here. Look, Raiders fans, y'all got a good squad. I like your guys' chance this year. We both said your team looks better. We both like your. It's funny, Jake. I play pickleball all the time, and there's a Raiders fan, and I remember I think it was like after day 3 of the draft, I had a pickleball day, and he was there, and I was like, "Damn it, dude! Like, you guys drafted so many of the guys that I want. Like, you guys killed it." He's like, "I don't know, man. I don't know. We usually suck at drafting." Fast forward to last week, dude. I really like our draft picks. We said that Jack Pesh guy. Oh man, he's just an all-star. That Ashton Genty kid, whoo, doggy. I'm like, dude, stop. I know.
I'll give a movie reference that I actually had planned to do for another show. I'll keep it in the horror realm as it relates to the Raiders. And yes, while I think they're going to be improved, I would name them I Know What You Did Last Summer. Because it's always during the summertime where the confidence is sky high. They'll go undefeated in the playoffs, or they'll like there's like, oh yeah, we had this terrific offseason. We're going to come for the AFC West this year, and it's just, I know what you did last summer.
Great, sucked.
But no. With that being said, I definitely think they are going to be more competitive this year.
Forgotten locale. The Navy Color Rush retired winless, which yeah. I agree. Pretty confident it will be Navy. Their last YouTube post had a white bolt outlined in Navy. Oh, yeah. Did you see that, by the way? I saw that circling around social media. But then they had another one where the bolt was back to regular. So maybe we'll breadcrumbs? I don't know. Get a hurricane siren blaring. I can get behind that marketing. Totally. By the way, if you get Chargers fans, if you go to games live, be prepared. That cannon will scare the shit out of you. I promise you. I don't know what it is, but it's so much louder at SoFi than it ever was at Qualcomm for that specific thing. It just freaking echoes. Okay, Jake. We did quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. Let's go tight ends.
Dan, I think you're going to like this one. This one was actually tough for me to come up with. And then I found a movie that just hit the closest that I could on a number of different elements here. Tight ends, and maybe this is centralizing about one person specifically, but how about the fifth element? The fifth element.
Mm-hmm.
On the nose with the Rondé Gatson being the 5th round pick that they traded up for.
Oh, okay.
But the tight end room in general, I think, is going to be much improved, obviously, with the receiving options that you have in Tyler Conklin and Rondé Gatson. Will Dissly going to go back to being his, what brought him to the dance and what he does best in blocking tight end. Same goes for Tucker Fisk. But this is going to be the element that never really got to shine last year as it relates to the tight end room. And everything was talked about as it relates to the wide receivers underperforming. People considered it the worst wide receiver group coming into the league last year before Ladd McConkey had his breakout season. But this is going to be the fifth element, Dan, that I think is going to help elevate Justin Herbert. And we've already been hearing these things about Rondé Gatson during the early days of OTAs. I'm excited to see how this is going to progress in training camp here in the next couple of weeks.
Ooh, I like that one. Honestly, this is one of the ones I couldn't think of one. I was trying to think of replacements was one that I had where I was like, okay, if we got some replacements in here, we got some dogs. This was a hard one for me. Did you have any others that are on your list?
For this one, no. This was the one that I landed on.
I don't have any. Folks in the chat, what are your thoughts on movie titles for the tight end group? Kyle Tucker says, last year, the wide receiver group was the other guys.
There we
well
go.
Done.
Now
well
we're thinking.
Done.
Now we're thinking.
Well done. Some people like the white jerseys. Some people don't in the chat. A lot of people talking about too many teams have done the white out. They can see the white lightning. No more Navy unless we do the crackling lightning instead of the Zeus bolt. Remember for a minute the LA Chargers logo?
Oh, God. No. Nobody needs to remember that. That needs to actually be wiped off the internet and stricken from history.
Joey asked, jerseys will be available online on day of drop, right? I'm pretty confident. I'm
sure that they would do that.
I think I saw that they were going to have all that stuff ready. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Someone has for Pammy. Tight end group is a Transformers. It's a good one. And I don't necessarily know if literally, but transforming this tight end group from last year to this year, for sure. For sure. Offensive line, Jake. This is an interesting one. I know you're excited for this one. I can tell. What say you?
So we all talk about so much in terms of, in general, we expect this offensive line to be improved. You have Rashawn Slater that's going to be coming back. Joe Alt's coming into his second year off of his good rookie season. You're bringing Mekhi Becton as your free agent. But what is always the conversation related to as it relates to the Chargers offensive line? Who's going to be playing left guard and who's going to be playing center? That's the leadoff. And in this case, Dan, I went with trading places. Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy, because that might be exactly what we get by the time training camp rolls around. Trading places. Zion Johnson And Bradley Bozeman might just simply trade places. And that's how this offensive line could come about. I still think that as training camp progresses, that Andre James is going to get a little bit more snaps into this mix. But those are your two options. I honestly believe it's either going to be Zion Johnson at center and Andre James at center. And either Zion's going to be back at left guard or Bradley Bozeman's going to be left guard if Zion ends up taking that center position. I think those are the two options that we should be expecting to see by the time that we hit week 1. But Dan, everything as it relates to this offensive line is all about trading places. Who's going to play left guard, or center?
Okay. Forgotten Locale asks, does he still sell that Crystal Head vodka? Look, got me. Kyle Tucker says, Lord of the Rings, 2 Towers. See it?
Sean, Joe, I could see that. Yeah.
No, I think that's Mekhi Becton and Joe Alt.
Oh, that's Mekhi Becton and Joe.
I'm guessing.
Well, definitely, yes. Like we've talked about it. I think that they're going to cast an eclipse on that right side of the offensive line.
I want to trust the coaches, says L1F3, which I think is supposed to be, say, life. But can you steal, man, the argument for not making more changes to the offensive line?
It's hard because I'm a little bit indifferent as it relates to this topic. I think them going out and getting Mekhi Becton was a fantastic move. And yes, it's a great situation for him given the fact that him logging in a full season at that same position for him under a Super Bowl caliber team, I think is only going to help. I think the fact that you're going to place him next to Joe Alt is going to be even better. But at the same time, I did expect the Chargers to address the center position a little bit more, whether that be in free agency or the draft. Just didn't end up coming to fruition. And now, you have the conversations about Zion Johnson, who I truly believe this coaching staff is extremely high on, given the fact that they're giving him every opportunity to succeed, even at a position that he's never played before in NFL or in college. And mind you, they didn't pick up his 5th-year option. So this is essentially a prove-it deal for whatever position that he's going to end up playing this year. And there's a part of me that still believes that Bradley Bozeman may be part of this offensive line, albeit at left guard, which he does have some prior experience at. But I can't be fully confident to say today that that's the right move. But then again, as Dan and I have noted time and time again, this coaching staff and this front office is extremely transparent. They don't hide things close to the chest. And we've seen that from Jim Harbaugh's first day when he was announced as the Chargers head coach. We've heard this from Joe Ortiz in terms of their strategy, in terms of building this team.
Yep.
When they say they're going to do something or that they believe in something, it's probably true.
Yeah. I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but my gut tells me that Chargers fans are going to be pissed even if they look like superheroes throughout the preseason and training camp, if they even play preseason. They're going to be pissed if they roll into the Chargers week 1 game against Kansas City in Brazil with Zion at left guard and Bozeman at center, regardless of if they've looked better or improved or not. Because they're basically going to say, look what happened last year. Look at Houston, and all you did was you brought in Mekhi Becton, and you're expecting everything else to just roll on. Now, could that play out? Possibly. Could that play out and be successful? Possibly. But regardless, I think Chargers fans are going to be pissed and nervous as hell. Now, I think next in line, probably a little less pissed, less nervous, might be if they switch, right? If they go Zion Johnson at center, Bozeman at guard. Because then it's like, all right, well, hey, maybe they've found something. Maybe they unlock something. Then all of a sudden you have 3 positional changes for an offensive line. But again, I don't know if they're going to be that happy, right? If they go out and get a free agent, Brandon Scherf or whoever, Hernandez, like maybe. I think the Chargers fan base is probably going to be like, hell yeah, we fixed everything. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. I do feel that I would brace for Zion being the left guard, Bosen being center. I would brace for it. And I think what the Chargers team is hoping for is this versatility thing and giving Zion Johnson the ability to go into center for a bit, learn that side of the house. Maybe he can bring those tools back over to guard, right? But I have a hard time believing they're going to go elsewhere for a starting guard or center that's not on this roster already. But we'll see. Heavyweights, Jake, was the one I wanted to use.
Nice.
And not necessarily because, they were the underdog, so to speak, in the movie, but
Come up here, son. Get on the scale.
yes,
Get off the scale.
shout out Ben Stiller. Shout out all those snacks hidden in the bed posts. But heavyweights in terms of the literal sense, like we got some beef in this offensive line. You look at the sheer girth of Zion Johnson, Bradley Bozeman, Mekhi Becton, Joe Alt. I mean, Rashawn Slater is not small by any means, but comparatively speaking, he's the smallest of the bunch in terms of, I think, size. I mean, this group is massive. And you talk about road graders, you talk about just plowing through folks. Like that pairing of the beefy offensive line with the beefy running back room paired with a Will Dissly, that's his calling card. Like, that's kind of why I go back to that imposing their will thing, right? Building bully ball, medieval trench warfare type stuff. Like, they are looking to do whatever the hell they want when they want, even if you know it, right? You think about like the tush push. You know it's coming. There's nothing you do to stop it. Like, that's kind of the way I see this happening for this Chargers team in the running game. Like, Greg Roman will be damned if he sees 2 seasons go by having, 20th run game? Like, that's not happening this year. There's no way. So that's what I have. Eddie says, if the interior offensive line collapses for a second year, we need to go have a discussion about our GM spending mid-rounders on IDL. I don't know about that. She says, interior defensive line and offensive line are both big concerns and unknowns, in my opinion.
I totally get that. I totally get why you'd have reservations about that.
Yep. Christian said, Herbert should be pissed if they're rolling the game 1 with that offensive line.
That's why I don't believe, Dan, that it's going to be the same exact offensive line, say for Mekhi Becton that you trotted out last year. I can't get behind that. And the playoff game against Houston put the nail in that coffin, in my opinion.
Yeah, you might be right. You're right. We'll see. Daryl says, hey, guys, we're live. Hi. What's up, Daryl? Can catch you guys every episode. Really enjoy it. Appreciate you, buddy. Jake, before we get to defensive line, let's do our next voicemail here. Again, you know the drill. 323-902-7586 is the number for the Chargers Unleashed hotline. Next voicemail.
Dan, Jake, my boys, I love you. This is Akil.
Oh, Atheer's back.
Yeah.
Fan favorite.
Oh, self-proclaimed fan favorite. I'm sure the chat would agree.
My season prediction this coming season, Justin Herbert will win NFL MVP
Oh, okay, this is the audio version of what he put in earlier. Okay.
and Offensive Player of the Year.
And offensive player of the year. Okay.
I'm going 4,600 total yards,
Okay. So Atheer tells us everything that he already
and
told us.
46 total touchdowns. That will lead to finish the season with hosting the Lombardi Trophy.
Okay. Cool. All right. We know how this one ends.
Again, the confidence level of Atheer right now as it relates to the Chargers' upcoming 2026 season just cannot be matched right now. So now we have Trey Harris winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year. We have Justin Herbert winning the league MVP and winning the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And the Offensive Player of the Year.
With 400 touchdowns.
Titles.
Yep.
And with a 13-4 record. I don't know how you can get more optimistic than that.
I used to be the optimist.
You did. Then you finally came down to earth. I used to be the negative shithead on this show. And again, that's my soapbox moment when you go from one regime in terms of coaching and front office to another. And look what it does to you, because I fucking feel great. Dan knows this. I have been the most positive that I have been in the last year.
So weird.
Doing this show and talking about this team. But hey, from that 2020 to 2024, it was rough.
Next voicemail.
Good morning, Bolt fam. This is Matt Waters calling you from Iowa. Is it 50 years of Chargers codependency stalking, or am I wrong to think that maybe this coaching staff can turn our interior offensive line around? Let me know what you think.
Honestly, I think that they can. Look, the team is not flawless. Okay, as much as we want to say that they are improved, which they are, as much as we want to say that they're deeper, which they are, which they've done, I think they have taken a much better approach in terms of building up team with talent. I mean, hell, again, we talked about this numerous times. Look what they did last year with guys on 1-year deals. And in terms of the production that they were able to get from you. Elijah Molden, who was traded for a 6th-round pick just before week 1, you ended up now giving a brand new contract to because of what he produced. J.K. Dobbins, as much as I wanted him back, I thought he earned a second contract with this team for coming off of the scrap heap, essentially, an injury. I think he deserved comeback player of the year, even though he missed some games. But look what you're able to get out of that. Christian Fulton on a 1-year deal was able to give you good production at the cornerback spot. They're able to find this. And the difference between this type of strategy and previous regime strategy, the X factor is coaching. How are you able to get the best out of everyone? And we can go back all the way from that time in between Marty and Jim Harbaugh and look at the difference in terms of the production that you were able to get with certain guys, certain free agency, whether it be big names that were signed to huge contracts and never ended up paying out, or guys at low-level deals that maybe only gave you 1 good year. The X factor is coaching. So, yes, because of that, even with it only being 1 season, Jim Harbaugh just has a way to connect with people as it relates to football and has a way to elevate them. And yeah, I firmly believe that he can do it.
I do too. And again, like just looking at the style of this Chargers team, I have a hard time believing they won't do it, right? Like they knew what the issue was last year, or issues were last year. And I just can't imagine them watching that transpire again. Right? Like I just can't do it. Jake, defensive side. Now, Athir, fan of the year, Athir, apparently. Give another prediction. $20 donation, by the way. Paying for our 6-packs for a long time. My Super Bowl pick is the Chargers. The Packers, Tarheeb still. Excuse me. Over the Packers. Interesting. Tarheeb still would be the best. We're adding to this. Tarheeb still is going to be the best corner in the NFL. 10 interceptions. Defense will be top 6. However, top 3 pass defense. Not afraid to say it. So 10 interceptions for Tarheeb still. Top 3 pass defense.
Just add to the number of predictions that the 2026 team is going to bring. Now we're calling the score prediction of the Super Bowl against the Green Bay Packers. Tarheeb still is going to be the first Chargers player since Antonio Cromartie to have 10 interception season. Just keep checking off the boxes.
Look, if the Chargers beat the Packers in the Super Bowl, we will buy Athir a custom Chargers jersey that says Athir on it on the back. Jake and I will both sign it. We'll send it over to him, and he can frame that puppy and say, I was right. Dan and Jake were wrong. I will gladly front that. Jake, you in?
Yeah. That should actually be our inscription. You were right.
Yes. Oh, good point. There we go. You were right. I was wrong. Jargon.
Yes.
Here's
Whatever
your
it is.
Defensive line, Jake. What's your movie of choice? Now, are you going defensive line, including edge and interior, or just interior?
I separated this. So this is just as it relates to the interior defensive line. Dan, I actually went with a movie that you were thinking about using for a different position group earlier, and I used the replacements for the interior defensive line.
Okay.
And Jesse Minter's talked about this. We've talked about this. Essentially, after losing Poona Ford, how are you going to replace that production that you had? So you're doing it in kind of a variety of different ways. Obviously, you brought back Tyler Tart on a 1-year deal, bringing Deshaun Hand. You go out and you draft Jamari Caldwell. And the reason for that is because I also believe that you're going to see a lot more of Justin Ebogbe, who essentially had a redshirt rookie season. They've talked up Justin Ebogbe a lot more for what they expect from him coming into year 2. So how are you going to reframe and replace that lost pass rush production that you had at the interior defensive line spot? They're going to do it with essentially 3 or 4 guys trying to replace one. That's what I got.
Honestly, I got nothing for this one. I'll be completely honest. Matt Waters says, interior defensive line is Horton Here's a Who. Why?
Come on, Dan, didn't you read the story?
Yeah, but where's the connection? Don't put that on me. You tell me.
No, I don't know.
You don't know shit.
Everybody has a different type of connection. I'm just saying. I'm just asking if you read the story.
There's a little talk about Joe signing Clowney on a 1-year deal. What do you guys think? I said it from the jump. I think they're going to be signing a veteran edge player. And I wouldn't be surprised if they sign someone that has kind of the two-way archetype. Not at all. I mean, that's kind of what Joey Bosa was too.
I'm not entirely sure about that.
Why not?
I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. I think it's because I know it's a 1-year deal. You're not talking about signing the multi-year deals, but you're bringing back Bud Dupree already. You already know what you have in Khalil Mack. This is going to be his final year going into this season. But it's time to change the guard in terms of getting the youth movement in there. And I'm still a huge Draymond Morris brash fan.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that he gets an opportunity to show what he can do because he's got the speed that you need at the edge position for this. So if you use him specifically as a third down edge rusher, if they end up keeping 5, which I unfortunately don't believe that they will, but if he ends up getting an opportunity, he's got that speed to power that you need from the edge position that you can utilize really well. So again, not necessarily knocking Clowney, but I think he kind of you need to go with this little bit. You already have 2 veterans in that room. I think you need to take this shift of the youth movement and move forward with it.
Yeah. But at the same time, I don't think adding a veteran takes away from that.
It doesn't take away from it. It doesn't take away from it. But how many edges are you going to keep in this room? And where is that going to? I mean, if you bring in Clowney, you can tell me you're going to keep 5 edge players in that room. Where is that going to take away from other positions of need on the defense?
Yeah, that's probably the best point. They're not taking Bud Dupree off. They're not taking Thule, not taking Khalil. They're not taking Kyle
Kennard.
So maybe they would keep 5, then I'm not sure what the interior defensive line would look at, but there's a shit ton of those.
Exactly.
Brad says bong hits for everyone. Except me and Jake, I guess. Okay. Edge defenders. This will be a fun one. Folks in the chat, what is the movie title for the edge defenders? But first, hold on. Christian says interior defensive line could be named Boogie Nights because if they don't show up, we're going to be winner, chicken dinner. Good job,
this
Christian.
is the beauty part of these fun type of topics that might just be completely, off kilter for what we normally talk about on this show. But this is what makes it fun And this is the beauty part of it right here, because everybody's perception of certain position groups as it relates to movies, you could spin it in every direction that you want to.
Gerard Robertson says, I'm sitting here at the big Dallas Sports Card Show selling Herbert rookie cards. So you're going to be making money. And listening to you guys after church. #winning.
Awesome.
Yep. And Eddie Dale says, IDL is the most jag position in the league. Dang. Not feeling good for the interior defensive line. I mean, I don't know if I agree with that. There's some dudes in the defensive line across the NFL that are not just a bunch of guys. And they said they literally run stuff and that's it. Some of them just do that, but some of them do a lot more than that. Some do a lot more than that. Edge defenders, Jake. What say you? What movie are we talking?
Yeah, I actually came up with 2 for this one, Dan. So I had Edge of Tomorrow, which is kind of a play on, Khalil Mack going out, Tuli Pelotu emerging as basically the guy that you're going to have to create this edge rushing duo around moving forward. So he's essentially the future. But Dan, I think the more appropriate one that I came up with was actually Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon, Danny Glover, Mel Gibson. If you remember, in the beginning of the first Lethal Weapon, Danny Glover is talking about retirement. And yet he ends up spawning another 3 or 4 films after that. So he's been going on retirement for a long time. That's essentially Khalil Mack right now, as far as the talk around retirement related to him. And then you have Tuli, who's still kind of the young gun upstart who's getting his chance, not necessarily reckless as Martin Riggs was, but he's the younger version. And together, this is how you create this dynamic duo. So I kind of lean more towards Lethal Weapon in this one, Dan.
Lethal Weapon. Ooh, we got some good ones here in the chat. Matt Waters says, we're all hoping for A Star is Born. And that could be a couple Stars Born.
I mean, if you're just talking about the title of the movie, I'm with you.
Yes.
Those of you who have seen that movie, you get to the last 10, 15 minutes of it, kind of a downer. It's kind of a downer.
Mr. 3000 for Mac. He's going to get the sack record. Bold. Okay. Rush Hour for Christian. Like this one. And Forgotten Lookout. Like the Lethal Weapon one. For sure. I kind of like, okay. I think my all-time favorite movie is Step Brothers. All-time
favorite.
Yeah. The Prestige is in there as one of my all-time favorites. SWAT is also in there.
SWAT is one of your all-time favorite movies?
Love that movie. Absolutely love SWAT. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Come on.
I got the theme.
Yeah.
I just
you don't like that movie?
I may just need to have a conversation. I'm not to say that I don't like that movie, but to say that movie is all time, I may just need to have another conversation with you offline. Yeah, I know. I got that.
Favorite. I'm not saying it's like Critics Awards. I'm just saying.
I got you. To each their own. It's totally fine, Dan.
Dune 2, says Nicholas 2020. If he said Dune 1, I'd be like, Dune 2, I can get behind. Dune 2 is good. Jake, have you seen Dune 2?
Honestly, I have not seen Dune 2 yet. And for
of
me,
all the movies for you not to have seen.
Well, you know what it was is I think I still need to go back and rewatch the first Dune because when that came out, it came out to streaming. And to be perfectly honest with you, it was tough for me to even follow the first watch. So I need to actually go back and rewatch it. I know that people have talked up Dune 2 a lot more. And in terms of what I've heard, that was kind of what I was expecting to be in the first Dune movie, but it wasn't. So that's one that I still need to get around to for sure.
Dune 2 was epic. I remember seeing it. I'm like, this is the movie of the year for sure. Yeah, Nicholas, that is criminal. I agree. Jake, for being a movie guy.
Hey, look, I pride myself on being a movie buff, but admittedly, no, I have not seen every movie known to man. And for some reason, people are shocked by that when they hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. You should see every movie. That's what it takes.
By all means, right?
The Raiders are Shrek, says Mark Scott.
I should go out and watch Sharknado 5 right now. Just for the standpoint to say I watch every movie.
I have seen 0 of the Sharknado movies.
Same.
Hey, look at us. Look at us. Hey, Jackson, did anybody see 28 Days Later? Jake!
I would think I'll see 28 years later.
What do you think?
I would think I'll see 28 years later. Here's how the best I can say it without ruining it. Again, this is my perception. I know a lot of people absolutely thought that this movie was incredible. Now, in terms of cinematography, if we're talking like that, if we want to break it down that way, it's visually beautiful. I thought it kept a lot of the old grittiness of the original 28 Days Later, even though the fact that we're shooting this movie entirely on an iPhone, which is just incredible when you think of the editing aspects of it.
Good point.
The first act of the movie is exactly what I thought I was going to get out of this movie, from it being 28 years later, from this zombie pandemic of the rage virus, that, seeing this dystopian-like world at this point in time, exactly what I thought. Then it shifts into more of like a very emotional drama. And then the final 2 minutes of the movie, because anybody who's read up on this knows that there is going to be a continuation to 28 years later. The final 2 minutes of the movie, I literally just sat back and, no joke, in my theater, there were people that were laughing, giggling, and saying, "What the fuck is this?" and that was my experience with 28 years later. Am I going to go see 28 years later, The Bone Temple? You better believe it, because I do love this franchise. But that was my experience with this movie.
Wow. Okay. It has some potential, says Nicholas. I don't know what this means.
If you've seen Dune, Dan, you should know what this means. Come on, Javier Bardem delivering this quote.
Oh, okay. Whatever. I don't remember everything in movies, but I see them. Okay. The Chiefs are Scooby-Doo, says Mark Scott. I love Scooby-Doo back in the day, by the way. We can take this completely off the rails and go over.
I think we've already gone off the rails a little bit here in the last 5 minutes.
That's all right. Edge Group is Into the Deep, says Bolt Baby. I like that one. I was kind of thinking Perfect Storm for me. You think about kind of like the mix of this team. You got young players that are hungry. Kennard's SEC Defense Player of the Year. You bring in like old guys, or you have the vets, and say old guys. Sorry, Cleo. I know how hungry you are. You've got the up and coming, ready to take the next step in Thule. Bud Dupree kind of helping with the depth. Like the perfect storm. It seems like the perfect blend, right? Like last year, I think it was way too much relying on Joey Bosa being there. I'll tell you that much. But now, I don't know. I kind of like it. See, Athir says, Dan, please read my comment to Jake. Okay, Athir. We'll stop the show for you. Athir says, Jake, 2026 Chargers season will open against the Raiders as Super Bowl champs. Banner going up on Thursday night. This guy's bringing out the magic 8 ball.
Now we're predicting the year following. Now it's going to be, they're going to open the season against the Raiders the year after winning the Super Bowl.
Dang. What is Athir wearing the day after the Super Bowl? That's what I want to know.
There it is. Hey, we needed to figure all that stuff out, because that's some pertinent information.
I know he's going to be having some Fruity Pebbles milk with some cigars. I'll tell you that much. Hell, I'll have Fruity Pebbles milk if we win the Super Bowl. Take me with you. Matthew Dahl says, what's up, guys? Damn, I'm late. I was out late last night.
Saturday night. You should be.
Dang.
Enjoy yourself.
Things I haven't said in a minute.
Exactly.
Spinal Tap, but Herbert needs to change his number to 11.
I like that one.
I love it. Linebacker, Jake. How do you feel about this linebacker squad?
You got to feel good about the linebacker squad, Dan. Honestly, I actually agreed with Steve Haglin when he said this, when they were putting up, PFF normally does the position rankings of every single group of every single team. And when they went through the linebacker spot, I was surprised how far down they had the Chargers linebacking core. I get it. Junior Colson didn't play much last year, but when you look at how Dan Henley in year 2, essentially after having a redshirt rookie year, came up to take the reins and be one of the unsung heroes of this team, and now is being talked about as one of the strong leaders of that locker room. He was phenomenal last year. And when you mix in the likes of what Denzel Perryman was able to come and do, even in going into year 10 for him, mixing in Troy Dye and Nick Neiman for what they were able to contribute on special teams. And now you talk about how it's shifted a little bit more. And Junior Colson has all of the best things going for him right now. Obviously, last year did not start off well, battling injury, missing time during training camp. He wasn't able to get up much to speed. But the pairing of athleticism and just overall ability from Deion Henley and Junior Colson as your starting pair of linebackers, you could do a lot with that. I think there are a lot of expectations from Jesse Minter and Jim Harbaugh. That's why you went out and drafted Junior Colson a year ago in the 3rd round, because he knows this defense inside and out. There is not going to be as much of a learning curve for him to come around on. So I think he has all the potential to hit the ground running by the time that we start training camp and go into the preseason. But to your point, Dan, with that being said, as far as the term or title relation to this particular group, again, this might be a little bit on the nose since it's almost a ode to Deion Henley himself for what he calls himself on Twitter, the Ranger. It's the Power Rangers.
Okay.
It's the Power Rangers.
So I'm kind of going, I like that one, by the way. Was black or white your favorite Power Ranger?
Tommy was everybody's favorite Power Ranger, whether he was the Green Ranger or whether he was the White Ranger, or if you continue to watch the show in its later iterations when he was the Red Ranger or the Gold Ranger, whatever it is.
The Rainbow Ranger's next.
Tommy was your favorite Power Ranger, whoever it was. Didn't matter.
I'm going Top Gun for this one. And maybe I'm too bullish on Junior Colson. I don't think I am, but maybe I am. But this is more so for Deion Henley. You think of Top Gun, right? You think of Maverick and Goose, and Maverick is so freaking cocky. Deservedly so, right? Like, so is Goose. I mean, they all are for that matter. But Iceman for sure is, right? But you think of Deion Henley, this young up-and-coming guy, comes in, he's just
plays with a lot of swag, but backs it up.
Yes. And you think about Tom Cruise's character, man. Like, that's him in a nutshell. You think of what Junior Colson could be. Like imagine a Maverick and Goose type combo. We're not going to worry about how the story ends, but imagine how good those guys are together. That's what this Chargers team is hoping for, right? You're hoping for that Batman and Robin, the Maverick and Goose. You're hoping for like those duo tandems that just take on the world by storm. I'm hoping for that. Emilio, Jake, Green Ranger has arrived. Black Ranger, Aether, green and white since Christian. Look, everyone here is all about Power Rangers. Linebacker's got to be Terminator, says Matt Waters.
Can understand that.
Terminator 1, 2, 3, 4.
I mean, Terminator 2 is the best of the franchise. Terminator 2 is the best of the franchise. Come on, I don't really think that that's that big of a hot take. Come on, trust me, I love 1984 version of Terminator. That's great, but James Cameron in 1991, give me a break, dude. Terminator 2, best of the franchise.
James Wagner says, "Bolt up! God bless you guys. Late to the gig, and yes, I can't wait to see Jesse mix up this linebacker group with a creative mindset." Forgotten Locale says, "Well, hell." Well, Henley had to go through hell himself. Forgotten Locale then says 2023 Staley was playing Kenneth Murray over him. You got nothing for that one. Sorry.
I don't need to get back up on my soapbox.
Nope. But you could. Do you want to?
No, because that already took up enough of the show. I don't need to do that. We could create a whole nother show during the off season on that topic. I'm not going backwards anymore.
Okay. Going forwards.
Yes.
Okay. Last one, Jake.
Well, you got
Do you want,
two more, Dan.
well, that's you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. Actually, technically, we got a lot more if you want to go that far. Quarterback. Let's hear it.
This one next to the tight end group was actually the hardest one for me to figure out.
Okay.
Dan, I went with, you know me, I'm a child of the 80s. I love the 80s. But when I think about this group that has, when you look at like the veterans of this group being Jasir Taylor and Dean Leonard, when you really think about it, obviously you bring in some free agency acquisitions in Benjamin St-Juste and Dante Jackson, mixed with what you had in your rookies last year with Tarheeb Still and Cam Hart. Dan, this feels like the Breakfast Club to me. Feels like the Breakfast Club. You got all these different pieces, these personalities that are all going to come together and measure and fit into what Jesse Minter needs into his zone defense. And the big question mark is, who is this secondary? Which, again, is another pun to Breakfast Club because the principal wanted them to write an article about who they thought they were. Who are you, this cornerback group? I think we're going to find out.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Heat with Al Pacino.
Great movie. This is not even cornerback related. It's just a fucking great movie.
Dang. James Wagner says, I'm sorry, but I'm a Ninja Turtles fan over the Rangers. See, now we're talking.
I would probably have to agree. I mean, they came out.
I love both.
I can't remember the first season of Power Rangers, but the Ninja Turtle, they both kind of had their time to shine as far as their craze. Ninja Turtles 1 and 2, I highly enjoy. And then right around that same time, the Power Rangers started to surge. So they both really got their time in the sun to just skyrocket in popularity.
But I'm talking before the movies. I'm talking like back when it was just the TV
series. You're talking, yeah, cartoons.
Yes.
Late 1980s. Yes, I feel you.
Oh, man. Ninja Turtles, Scooby-Doo, Power Rangers, Doug.
The heyday of Saturday and Sunday morning cartoons.
Oh, when was Doug? That was like my jam.
Doug was, I want to say that was 1990. Nicktoons slate in the morning on Sundays. It was Doug, Rugrats, and then the great Ren and Stimpy.
Okay, I never got into Ren and Stimpy, but Doug and Rugrats were like my back-to-back. That was like my childhood.
Man, Ren and Stimpy is still a cartoon, which I totally get, and you can relate this to any movie as well, where they say you watch that movie as a kid, or in this case, you watch Ren and Stimpy as a kid, and you have a singular perception to say, this is funny, this is hilarious, I love this show. And then you watch this same episode as an adult, and you're thinking to yourself, how the hell did this get on Nickelodeon at 11 o'clock in the morning on Sundays? How the hell is this possible, given what they were talking about on that show?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. You mentioned Breakfast Club for the cornerback room. There's a bunch here, right? Like, I think you can go, if you want to stay in that section, like you can go into like Sweet 16, right? And go into Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Like, I kind of think about like a lot of those young, up and coming, young adult, unproven, kind of all getting together type thing, having their chance to do what they want. There's so many. It's really interesting because if you just take out the names for a second and take out the coaching staff and you're relying on two veteran, if you want to call them that, St-Juste and Dante Jackson, cornerback free agents, two fifth-round rookie, second-year players, and then a sixth-round player in Dean Leonard, Jasir Taylor. That's who you're relying on for your cornerback room. It's kind of like, oh God. But then when you add context, right? Like with Jesse Minter and Steve Klingscale, and then how well those fifth round rookies played out, and then kind of the archetype of the traits, right? Like, okay, maybe this young group could have some fun. And you're banking on it. Sure as hell banking on it. And then I think what's most important to this is you go and listen to like the mic'd ups, right? We all saw Jim Harbaugh's, we saw Greg Roman's, but Jesse Minter's, man, like you just feel the oozing of confidence and of understanding of people and of scheme and of this sport. And it still blows my mind that he is still the defensive coordinator. It's just so fun watching him coach this team. And so, in Jesse, we trust. But yeah, I kind of go back to I agree with you with like the Breakfast Club, Sweet 16, Ferris Bueller. I think about like Camp Nowhere, all little kids just out there just going crazy. That's kind of where I go.
To this comment, JRMR6110, you guys might be too young for Street Sharks. I am not too young for Street Sharks. As a matter of fact, I had one of the action figures for Street Sharks.
I don't know what Street Sharks is. I am barely. Hold on.
Look up Street Sharks.
I was going to say, what's Street Sharks?
Look up Street Sharks, damn it.
Street Sharks. Let's see. Street Sharks.
And the other one from Matt Waters. Bugs Bunny Roadrunner on Saturday morning. Epic. But I am not too young for Looney Tunes, my friend. I remember Looney Tunes very, very well.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very well. And yes, even when it started to transfer from Saturday morning cartoons to just become a weekly staple on Nickelodeon during weekdays, hell yes, I would watch it every time. Classic. You can't get any better than that.
Oh, dude. I was all about Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner. I watch that so often. Bolt Baby says defensive line is Moneyball. That's a good one.
Yeah, I can understand where you can get that title.
You can also do that for the cornerback room too.
You could.
All right, Jake, safeties.
Dan, this harkens back to another movie that you mentioned earlier for one of your position groups. Mm-hmm. I had safeties as 300.
Oh.
I have the safety group as 300. Okay. Derwin James is 100% Leonidas, and you're essentially this last line of defense using the phalanx to have all of these enemy, this army come at you, and you choose the pathway that you have to block to keep them from progressing. Last line of defense. It's 300.
I'm going Wolf of Wall Street on this one.
I'm curious to know how, so let's hear it.
Well, first off, excellent movie, excellent safety group. And you think of Leonardo DiCaprio, that's totally Derwin James, right? Like, this guy's absolutely alpha of alphas. Might not have some of the extracurricular activities that Leonardo DiCaprio had. So. Derwin James is John Wick, says Christian. That's a good one.
Yaga.
That's a good one. But I was looking at it more of just like the star-studded cast of that movie. And you think about like who was on that. Like you got Jonah Hill, Margot Robbie, Matthew McConaughey, Leonardo DiCaprio, Martin Scorsese's doing it. Like there were so many dudes in that movie. Jon Favreau, I believe, was doing stuff there. I mean, there was so many. And that movie was like epic. I loved it. But I just think of, I don't know, man. I don't know. $26,000 worth of sides. Zach Benz says over the top for the safeties.
Yeah.
Ryan said, oh, here we go. This is a fun one. We'll take it on the nose. Ryan Sieber says, your podcast took a big hit today for me. I'm here for Chargers football and not all these dumb movie references. Stop watching Guilty as Charged a season and a half ago or them being a couple of dorks. Dude, okay. Appreciate you joining in, Ryan. Thank you. It is July 6th.
Also, Ryan, if you did have a question related to the Chargers, we were happy to answer this.
I've seen nothing. I've seen nothing from Ryan.
This is what we do from a live show. We're just, it's training camp, or training camp hasn't even started.
I wish it was training camp.
Lead up to training camp. We're just having some fun. That's all it is.
Right. So appreciate you tuning in, Ryan. But you tell me what topics we should cover that haven't already been covered for this Chargers team. Tell me. I'm here. I will gladly stop this show right now and talk about whatever.
We actually got hounded last week for an episode that we did, and someone said that we kept talking about the same old stuff. So apparently, you win some, you lose some, or you just can't win, period, no matter what you do.
That's all right. It's all good. Ryan, we still love you. Hopefully we could do better for you, but seems like people are having fun. Ryan is too cool for us, says Zach. Yep, it's the off season, says Forgotten Locale. You should be allowed to have fun. And Christian just laughs a bunch and says, crazy, bro. This guy must be great at parties. James says, Ryan, there's medication for whatever is aching. And Ryan, I think the medication is the bong hit, is probably what he's recommending. Look, Ryan, I get it. Maybe we had a rough night, morning. You're hard to please. It's all good. It's all good. It's all love. We'll get back on track once we got content to give you. I promise you that. Jake, Chargers training camps, like, what? 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks away?
Crazy.
Absolutely crazy. What is... I'm not even going to say that. For folks in the chat, you could just... For folks who are watching, you guys can look at Zach Benson's comment. Storyline that you're most intrigued by. I put this comment out on Twitter last week, and the one that I think is kind of the juiciest, in my opinion, is somebody asked about who's going to be wide receiver 2, and I kind of expanded that to pass catcher 2. But who do you see as the second most targets being on this team?
There's a number of different answers for this. Obviously, Mike Williams would make a lot of sense, just given the fact that he has that previous rapport with Justin Herbert. They already have a good connection. He's going to have a leg up on any one of the new faces that are in camp outside of Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnston. And you could look at this as possibly Trey Harris could eventually develop into that wide receiver 2 as the year progresses, which I firmly believe that's possible. I'm going to even give Dan a little bit of credit here. You could even make an argument that Oronde Gadsden could find himself as the second best pass catching target on this team for everything that's being talked about him. So there's a number of different ways to go. Dan, in general, I'm intrigued about this wide receiver group as a whole, because you can obviously see the focus in which the Chargers evaluated what the roster was in that particular room the year prior and said, okay, this is what we need. You need that downfield contested catch X receiver, which going out and bringing back Mike Williams gives you that, albeit he could stay healthy. Trey Harris definitely gives you that for what he did at Ole Miss. You bring in KLS as a downfield speed option for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All these players are going to open up the field a lot more for Ladd McConkey. So that's a great storyline to follow.
So last year, Ladd McConkey clearing away. QJ, second leading targets. Josh Palmer, third. Disley, fourth. Dobbins, fifth. So 3 receivers and a tight end. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Conklin. I don't think it's going to be Mike Williams. I think they're going to kind of have that role, that Mike Williams role, as by committee with him and Trey Harris, in my opinion. It might be Quentin. It might be Quentin. Quentin or Conklin. Those are probably the 2 names I would go with.
Interesting choices.
Yeah. And I know it might be a surprise, but Quentin...
Surprised me.
Quentin after Ladd, right? Like, Mike and Trey Harris do a lot of the same type of thing. I guess you could say KLS and Quentin, maybe. But, like, think about unique, right? Like the short, intermediate, drag routes. There's a lot of targets there. And again, like last year, people want to bag on Quentin, but the dude had 91 targets last year. Like, that ain't bad. That ain't bad. Omari and Hampton, some people are saying, out of the backfield. I think he's going to get some targets. I don't know about second leading targets on the team.
Yeah. I don't foresee this to be like a Austin Eckler type of situation when you're talking about pass catching targets for him. And I more relate that to how Greg Roman is going to utilize his running backs in his system. I just don't think they're going to get that many pass catching opportunities.
James Wagner says, agreed. I'm so ready to see the bounce back season for Mikey. Yeah, I mean, it would be awesome to see Mike Williams ball out. Like, imagine you see like 2023 Mike Williams pre-injury. Would be sick. We'll see. In 2024, says Eddie Dale Jr., it was a race for who was second in yards. It was. Let me go back to that for a second. Yards last season, McConkey had 1150. After that, Quentin had 711, Palmer had 584, and Disley had 481. And honestly, this might be the biggest Tyler Conklin stat. If Will Disley, if he could have 50 receptions and 64 targets, Tyler Conklin could go off. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Again, I think last year from what you saw from Will Disley was more of a, hey, we need you to elevate this tight end room because we literally don't have anyone else. So we need you to do more than what you normally do.
Yeah. Ryan is back, guys. There is a game this month.
Yes, there is.
All business for Ryan. We'll get there. No off season for me. But big play Mike Dub for him. I love it. Ryan, again, appreciate you. It's all fun. It's all love here. That would be such a in the field storyline, though, if Mike Dub just comes back and balls out. And how poetic, if you think about just the full circle of that. Because remember, not too long ago, Mike Dub was like the guy that everybody was like ready to just cast away when it was him or Keenan Allen. If you had to choose between the receivers that were going to leave or stay because of the cap casualty, he and Keenan both end up leaving. Now, all of a sudden, Mike Williams is like the guy who everyone was beloved and wants back. And Justin Herbert loves him some Mike Williams. Man. Crazy. Forgotten Locale says, a game at the end of July. Tears. Yeah, I'm with you. Mike Dub was wide receiver 1 in 21 and 22. It was leading in 2023 and he went down. Yards, not targets. Again, if we can get Mike Dub from 2021, 2, and 3, sign me up. It's hard to say you're going to get that, though. Like, I don't know if you could bank on that. Pepe Le Pew Pew, maybe the best name so far, says, did you guys see Brett Coleman's video on general managers and salary caps? I did not. Jake, did you?
I didn't, but he did talk about, I think if I remember correctly, when we had him on the show in, what was it, right after the combine, I think he mentioned that he was working on this because he was talking about the percentiles in terms of taking in all the data from all the teams and salary caps and what they were used for in certain positions and how that ended up benefiting them in the seasons going forward. He had mentioned it. He had mentioned that, and it was actually a very interesting number in terms of what he was able to find for position groups, what they were utilized for in terms of the salary cap goes. It was more so just in terms of bigger contracts. So I'm interested to watch it.
Christian says, if we were to sign Keenan, would he step in and be wide receiver 2? I think we got to let go of the Keenan talk.
I think we do too. Sadly, I mean, I
love Keenan.
We love Keenan.
We all remember where we were when Keenan Allen was traded.
Yes. Dan and I came on this show shortly afterwards. It was a late night show that day. I think it was like at 8:00 at night.
I lost my laptop.
I came on here with bourbon on the show to toast Keenan Allen for that. But at the same time, it's just like, look, I love Keenan Allen to death. I don't know how I would weigh this because it would essentially be, to me, it would be a battle between him and Ladd McConkey for number 1. If you're really asking me, for obvious reasons, because they're going to be the two that are going to get open the most. That's where I'll leave it.
Yeah. JR says, I cried. We all did. Regardless of what you thought about if it was the right decision or not, like that was the end of an era for sure. Forgot Locale says it's over. If we're looking for a receiver, we could use a great blocker, i.e. Deebo Samuel, or like an Anquan Bolden type player. Totally. I don't know who that player is, but totally.
the wide receiver camp battle that you're going to have, and I actually figured out earlier this week that when we were talking about how many roster spots you're going to keep open for wide receivers, I actually realized that I was incorrect when I was talking to Dan about it and saying that they kept 6 last year, but they actually kept 7. 7. I don't foresee that happening this year. You have retooled that wide receiver room enough to where you know the guys for sure that you are not letting walk out that door. It's pretty solidified. Save for maybe one spot, it's pretty solidified. It's all going to come down to, are the Chargers going to keep 5 or 6 wide receivers? But I don't believe they're going to keep 7.
Given the tight end room and the running back room, I just don't see it either. James Wagner says, who's to say Darius Davis doesn't have a massive transformational season? I mean,
Well, this is your topic, Dan.
I was calling for it all season, and I got it a few times, but not many. I'd love it. I'd love for him to take on, I'm not saying he's going to be Tyreek Hill, but I'd love to see him take on that type of role where he's used more for like explosive downfield opportunities. It'd be great. Get the ball to him in space. It doesn't even necessarily have to be downfield. Put him in those drag situations like he did with Quinn, right? Like let them battle it out. James Wagner says, that was a Band-Aid torn off quickly about Keenan Allen. Hated it, but I'm over the Keenan discussion personally. Yep. Pepe Le Pew Pew. Love that name. Need fresh legs. Zach asked, did you see the Dicker interview? Should Herbert and Dicker wear the red contacts on game day?
I did not see the interview.
Me neither.
So I'm not 100% sure.
I've got a 2-week-old. I've got a great excuse. I got red eyes right now. I'll tell you that much. God, help me. I didn't see it, but yes, they should wear red contacts on game day. Absolutely. It sounds sick.
Dan, if you think I didn't have a movie reference for Dicker the Kicker,
please,
in this one, I was going to say you would sorely underestimate me.
And here we are.
Yes. For Dicker the Kicker, I have enemy at the gates. Jude Law, Ed Harris, 2 long-range snipers dueling it out.
Oh. I like
Cameron
it.
Dicker.
What would you do for J.K. Scott?
I mean, this position group is a little bit, obviously, as it relates to the specialist, everything relates to Cameron Dicker. Yeah. J.K. Scott, you can almost maybe make the same, I don't know, you probably couldn't make the same argument, but I carried everything as it related to Dicker the Kicker for this one. I didn't take into account J.K. Scott.
Apollo 13, J.K. Scott, just kicking moonshots.
That's not necessarily how I would try to relate Apollo 13 to J.K. Scott.
Why not? They landed. The ball landed eventually. Similar to J.K. Scott's, right? His hang time is insane. Yeah. You'll be a little on the edge of your seats for a bit, but the ball came down sometime.
Wow.
Pepe Le Pew Pew says, for edge rushers, I have stepbrothers.
Didn't you do the same for that, Dan? You referenced stepbrothers earlier.
I did. I remember what it was for.
To the edge group.
I don't know. Maybe. Keenan or... Okay, here we go. Last Keenan topic. Keenan or Mike Evans for better wide receiver?
Keenan or Mike Evans for best wide receiver?
Chocolate or vanilla? I don't think you could say best receiver because they are both different receivers, but both are epic. You can't argue against Mike Evans. The dude has 1,000-yard receiving.
They're also just 2 very different receivers.
That's what I'm saying.
What they're able to do.
Chocolate and vanilla are both great options.
I would probably look. Some people, the purists, might be pissed off at me for this, but I think when you look in terms of years of consistency, it's hard to argue against Mike Evans for what he's been able to do over such a long period of time.
I used to be a Mike Evans hater, honestly, and he just kept doing it. I'm like, damn it, man. Respect. I don't know. Dicker is Mr. Perfect, says Matt.
I mean, he is really.
Dicker is the last samurai with Tom Cruise.
God, that's a great idea. Is that when the Chargers are coming up to make either whether it's go for a field goal attempt or a PAT, by all means, when Dicker the kicker walks out there, just blare the 10 seconds of Mr. Perfect's wrestling theme because it's perfect for Cameron Dicker.
Yes. Matt Waters making us blush. Hats off to you guys for an entertaining Sunday morning when content is scarce in the off season. Well done, fellas. Appreciate you, Matt. Appreciate you guys. We had long today, but we had a lot of position groups, a lot of movies. As we round this one out, folks in chat, I have to know, for folks who are still here, and somehow, Jake, there's still 400 plus folks in this live show.
Sunday mornings, man.
Shout out.
In the off season. Gotta love it.
A couple of minutes ago, now, I officially had my last sip of coffee. Jake, did you pound yours yet?
Yep, it's gone.
It's gone?
It's gone.
And we're still here. You didn't even tell me. Usually we do this show until it's over. And
man, we are now at 1 hour and 46 minutes of this show. Okay, it would kind of be interesting if I did not finish this in that period of time.
Yeah, but true. It'll be warm by now, and my coffee is cold. Full circle. 2 questions. I'll ask the folks in the chat. Favorite movie of all time. Don't think it too long. Favorite movie, go. Put it in the chat. And Jake, while we're waiting for that answer, anyone from defensive you're looking to stand out in the Hall of Fame game?
Defensive? From the defense?
His name was defensive.
Oh, my bad. I mean, this could be a laundry list of individuals. This entire rookie class, essentially, from first round to the 5th round, I am excited to see out there.
Kennard, that's a good shout out. Yep.
Kennard is a terrific idea for that because coming into the 4th edge rusher in terms of his rotation and in terms of what he's good at as it relates to this role, I think I would love to see him round out this group. Marion Hampton's obviously going to get his reps throughout this year, and everybody's excited to see.
I don't know if you're going to. I don't know if you're going to see him in that game. Would you put him out there? I don't know if I would.
You maybe give him a series or 2 because you do kind of have to ramp him up. You don't treat it the same way that you would treat like a Derwin James or a Justin Herbert.
Of course. Sure.
So, yeah, I think you maybe give him like a couple series.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I want to say the cornerback room. Like, I'm really interested to see what like a St. Juice, Dante Jackson are doing. Because you think about like that group paired with preseason opponents, right? You're not going to have, the ones that they're going to go up against a lot. Give that to Jesse Minter, Steve Klingscale. Like, I don't know, it'd be kind of fun. Rocket Sanders is another one. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. I know they didn't need to see much from him early on in camp, but they will for this. Jake, we got another Raiders fan. Man, we are in their feelings.
Everybody was rattling off their favorite movies. Chargers suck. I'm not familiar with this movie.
No, neither.
I'm just kidding. I'm very familiar with this movie. So are every Chargers fan essentially since the 1960s familiar with this movie.
Yes.
We know what this movie's all about.
Raider. Okay. Is there any more thing more annoying than the Raiders chant thing at games? It's so brutal. It's like, ugh. It makes you want to throw up. It's so gross. Let's see. Zach asked, do you need a hug? Let's see. We'll go to some of these movies. Forrest Gump was brought up. Wreck-It Ralph.
I like some of these titles in here because they're not like the usual movies that you see.
Well, folks were in their bag.
Other than Alien in 1979, I could totally understand why that's someone's favorite movie.
Yep. Interstellar, obviously. That's a great one.
Man, it's again, Interstellar, fantastic. It's just one of those movies that I don't revisit that often because, like,
it's so good.
I'm all for getting a good emotional tug every now and again, but that one,
that was tough.
That one just tugs at the heartstrings a little bit too much.
Yeah. The Matrix,
the OG, and yeah,
True Romance, Star Wars. Can't go wrong with Star Wars.
Is it the original Star Wars and that's it? Or are we talking about like the entirety of Star Wars? Because Star Wars has changed dramatically. If you're just talking about the original trilogy, like I get you. I feel you. And even a lot more people are starting to come around on the prequel series based off of what has come out recently. But I'm interested to see people just a little bit more specific in terms of which Star Wars we're talking about here.
Mighty. You guys think the Chiefs are playing chess by getting Fulton? I saw Kelly, which later he says Kelsey, said in an interview that they didn't know what Jesse Minter was doing in their game, which, again, shout out to Jesse Minter. Think Fulton was a play? I mean, maybe. But I think that's what makes Jesse Minter's defensive scheme and his brilliance so good is it's so variable. And there's like infinite number of possibilities that he can use. Christian Fulton might have some things to share, but like, do you think that, I don't know. I don't think that matters.
I mean, when they picked up Drew Tranquil, when they did, I don't care if it's chess or checkers, I guarantee you that benefited them. Obviously.
I'm no bueno. You guys hit me already? This is totally like toxic masculinity where like he just plays victim after 2 seconds of like coming out here and going on a Chargers episode. It's kind of funny. Jake, do we want to continue talking to the Raiders fam? I'm down.
Hey man, competitors welcome, dude.
Absolutely.
We don't put people down
Please.
on the show or try to, put people out of this show.
I would love
welcome the banter.
I would love to see the Raiders be competitive in 2025. Competitors are welcome.
I actually gave your team a lot of credit earlier in this episode, believe it or not.
Yeah. Hey, shout out. Chiefs take a Chargers every offseason. Nothing new. Yes, sky is blue. Chiefs win. Okay. Oh, he's back. Okay, my apologies. I thought I got banned already. No, you didn't.
No,
we're not.
No,
we're good.
We don't do that.
Nope. But good luck to your team this year. Jake, we've had some fun. We went to the Rolodex, which, by the way, when's the last time you saw an actual Rolodex? We went through the Rolodex of movies this morning. Damn it, I'm so ready for football to get here. So ready.
I think we all are. Given the subject matter of this show today, we're all ready for football to return. When you have nothing else to talk about during the offseason, these are the type of shows that are created.
Yeah, on the next episode
to Chargers training camp.
Yep, on the next episode, we're going to discuss which condiments the Chargers position groups are going to be.
Yes. What do we think the Chargers players feel about the current Love Island cast? That is what we were going to be talking about. Yeah.
Oh, God. We've done it, Jake. We somehow went an hour and 53 minutes on this episode when there was literally nothing to talk about. Chargers Unleashed equals prestige worldwide. Why?
Yes. Investors, possibly you.
Panda. Is there a silent D in there?
And
Jake, do you want to do karate in the garage?
Love to.
Sweet. On the count of 3. Favorite? Yeah, I can do this all day long.
Yes.
Did you touch my drum set? Ooh, next topic's going to be songs instead. Down for that.
That's an interesting one.
Ooh. See, you guys are giving us ideas. Look, we understand. The offseason has nothing going on, so might as well see what your division is doing. Hey, it's all good. Jake, anything else? We went through so much. Ryan comes back. Put condiments in the title so I know to skip it. You got it, Ryan. Deal. Jake, anything else before we get out of here?
Oh, man, it's a good way to start off the Sunday again. We're in the offseason. We all are waiting for Chargers football to return. We have 2 weeks until training camp starts with, of course, the Hall of Fame game between the Chargers and the Detroit Lions coming up at the end of this month on July 31st to kick off the NFL preseason. Trust me, we're just all in our feels right now. This is how we cope. This is how we deal with football not being around. But it's always nice when we get to have these type of live conversations with you and obviously make it fun and interactive. God damn it, Dan. Football needs just to get back here.
Look, we are delirious at this point,
yes.
And we're just waiting for Chargers football to start. And luckily for us, we have one happening this month. Can't wait. You can find Jake at Jake T. Hefner, myself at Dan W Sports on X. Hit us up on YouTube, leave us a comment, hit subscribe, like, whatever it is. We appreciate all of you, even the haters. Thank you for making us better. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a great week. We will talk to you next time on the next Chargers Unleashed.